back, everyone. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ruby Basi, and we have Gurpreet from Kaur Movement, who has started a full movement on sexual abuse. And we want to welcome her. And thank you, Gurpreet, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I have some questions for you, and you can always talk about, what started this movement?
I started this in 2019. This was actually after my own experience throughout my lifetime, I guess. And I was like, okay, I need to start something where I can help others, or actually just bring this forward to like the community, because nothing's being done, or I felt like I was alone, didn't have anybody to talk to about this. And randomly I started the page anonymously, and at that time I had called it Hush Hush. It was Hush Hush for about a week or two, and then I changed it to the Kaur Movement.
To the Kaur. And now you also have Sing Movement, I saw the other day.
Yes, I do. I have the Sing Movement after we started receiving a lot of emails from men saying that they've been sexually assaulted as well, which does obviously happen, and which is really, really sad that it's happening in our community. But yeah, it's usually kids that were underage, that they have gone through it, males especially. And in our community, the stigma is that they don't come forward because, or you're not a real banda. Like, if you're going to talk about your emotions or your feelings or anything like that. So when we had started getting a lot of emails from men reaching out, that's when I had decided that, hey, it's just not the Kaur Movement, it's the Sing Movement as well, because everyone is welcome to share their story and their experiences of what they have gone through, especially in their childhood.
Got it. We're going to also switch to Punjabi as well. So for any of our Punjabi listeners too, we'll go back and forth. Punjabi ਵਿੱਚ ਬੋਲਾਂਗੇ ਵਿੱਚ English. So just make sure ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਨਾ wider audience reach ਕਰੀਏ. So ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ, ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਵੇਂ anonymously ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ, right? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ family ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ, like were they in support, ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ?
So ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ actually.
Wow.
ਮੈਂ I think 8 ਮਹੀਨੇ 9 ਮਹੀਨੇ anonymous ਹੀ ਸੀਗੀ until ਫਿਰ threats ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਈਆਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਤੂੰ ਕੌਣ ਆ, ਤੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ community ਨੂੰ expose ਕਰਦੀ ਆ, ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ bad ਕੰਮ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇਰਾ face ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਲਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ. And that's when I decided to put my face forward. ਅਸੀਂ ਡਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਕਾਤੇ ਆ ਠੰਡ ਦੇ, like ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਆ, ਇਹ real victims ਆ, ਇਹ ਕੋਈ fake stories ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀਆਂ. And I'm like, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ threaten ਕਰੋਗੇ, so then you know what, I'm gonna post my face before you guys try to do anything. And I think my parents, everyone was kind of in shock. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ understanding ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ, and they were more worried about my safety than anything, to be honest. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਚੰਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ, but ਤੇਰੀ safety ਆ, ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਕਰ. Like, they were more, no, don't do it. ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮਾਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ, ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਸੌਖੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ, like, especially when it comes to exposing.
Right.
And ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ no, this is my movement and this is my life now, and ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ adjust ਕਰੋ, or you guys just kind of stay away from it.
Right.
At that point I had decided, like, hey, I went through everything alone, I was very suicidal, this is my second life, and nobody's gonna tell me how to run it. And yeah, that was including everyone in my family as well, and they just slowly had to adjust to the fact that I'm just helping strangers all over the world, and this is something that's needed.
Yeah.
So nobody goes through what I went through, is my, like, at that time that was my thinking, it still is. The feeling of being alone and isolated and not having the support, even though you have the support around you, you still feel isolated. Like, my parents were very supportive. Like, when they found out, like, they tried their best of what they know and their knowledge, but yeah, at that point I still felt alone. And then that's when I was like, hey, like, if this is happening to me, there's more people out there, and I don't want anybody to feel how I felt. So
right.
Yeah, and then I made it really clear, like, hey, this is something that's always going to be in my life. My parents, my family, you guys just have to get used to it, and I'm sorry that you guys feel that you're scared for my safety, and all I say, I'm protected by God. I'm not doing anything wrong, so don't worry about me. Yeah.
How long after this happened? ਕਿੰਨੇ ਚਿਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ the police ਨੂੰ report ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ talk to a school counselor ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ friends ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਾਂ share ਕੀਤੀਆਂ?
To be honest, my life story is kind of complicated. So my first sexual abuse was when I was 5 years old by my adopted brother, and then he stayed in the family after all of that went down as well.
Adopted brother, sorry to cut you. Adopted brother from India?
Yeah, adopted brother. He's a family like Masi like Munda. And then we adopted him when I wasn't even born. And so he was in my household for 15 plus years. But yeah, he was the one that sexually assaulted me when I was 5 years old. Luckily, my parents walked in and dealt with the situation. But yeah, that was my first one. And then another family friend when I was probably the age of 11, 12. And then went to India, and I was at a Gurdwara. A Baba touched me when I was like, I think 14, 15. Another family friend in New York was when I went to a wedding, I was sexually assaulted. So this is not something that it was just like one experience. I've dealt with it pretty much my whole life. But the difference is now I'm just not silent about it. And I'm very open. I don't name and shame them. Even though ironically on the platform I get victims to come forward if they want to, and if there's enough evidence and whatnot. Maybe one day I will. But as of now, like, it was just for my healing and my journey to start like the Kaur movement. And when I had started it, it was for my healing. It was for me to like just connect with someone, because it came to a really it was like a huge breakdown in 2019 in February, the day that I started it. I was telling you earlier, I got a phone call from the police, and they were saying my case is not going to go anywhere because of the lack of evidence. And I'm like, okay, so that means okay, I did not get the support in the family. Like, when I came forward with it, like, I did get the support, but I was still put in positions where I had to see my abusers. And now I'm going to the police against everyone and taking a stand for myself, and the police failed me as well. So what was the point of me going through all that trauma? The recording of my experience with the cops, sitting there and going through that whole experience to get one phone call to just tell me that like it's not going to go anywhere. That day I was pretty much shattered. I was very suicidal that day, and that's the day, the next day I think I started the Kaur movement. Kind of just disappeared from Vancouver, just left the house and just started something on my own, and then and now we're here.
No, I'm very proud of you, and as I told you before, a few months ago, I'm all about this as well. I saw this somewhere. I'm like, oh, Kaur movement. One of our my husband's friend came over, and his wife was over. Started telling her about sexual abuse. Saadi community ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ silence ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਚੁੱਪ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ, ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ, ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਇਹ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਉਹ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, right? They don't stop. And what can we do, right? ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ and take it a next step forward. And when I was talking to her, I said, I'm all about this, helping victims, and it sounds so much like you. So I'm very proud. You've started something. You've become that change. And she goes to me like I was telling you, Kendi, Ruby, you need to be the ambassador for for Kaur movement. Then mainu yaad, and I'm just like, wow, right? Te fir main dekha Singh movement hona, and it made me so proud, because mainu lagda si na ek kalla banda hanji kuch kar sakda ya, but seeing you, doing this, because you're a voice for pata nahi kinniya kudiyan, ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ statistics ਆ ਜੀ, 1 in every 4 girls. I don't agree with that. ਜਿੰਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਜਾਂ ਦੋ ਵਾਰੀ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਹੈ. It's like every person I'm talking to ਆਪਣੀ community ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. So it's out there, but ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੁੱਪ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਹੈ, and that needs to change.
the victim shaming, that's the main thing. And if we even talk about statistics like sexual assault jira hunda bhi hai, right, women obviously higher rate hai. So there'll be 1000 women the ਵਿੱਚੋਂ 37 incidents ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ 1000 women ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹੋਏ ਆ, like, you know, they've been sexually assaulted. Males ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ like out of 1000 men, 5 have been assaulted.
And now Gurpreet,
and honestly ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ strangers ਨਹੀਂ ਗੇ, it's family, it's your own people ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ. And that's when people victim blame, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਮਾਮਾ ਆ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਤਾਇਆ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਮਿਸਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ. ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਟੈਟਿਸਟਿਕਸ ਨਾਲੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਓਕੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੱਚ, ਫਿਰ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਕੀ ਆ? ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ ਡਰ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ ਈਵਨ ਇਨ ਦ ਕਿਡਸ. ਉਹ ਕਾਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਈਕ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ, ਜਾਂ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ. ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੋ ਮੈਨੀ ਵਿਕਟਮਸ ਸਾਇਲੈਂਟ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ.
And what do you think, Gurpreet, ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਆ how many do you think ਕਿ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ? ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਈਮੇਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏ because they're anonymous, right? ਪਰ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਹੋਰ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ 올ਡਰ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਗਰੋਇੰਗ ਅਪ ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਇਆ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਆ?
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ. ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਆ. ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੇਜ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਸਟੋਰੀਆਂ ਪਾਉਂਦੀ ਆ, ਰਾਈਟ, 5% ਆ ਮਸੀ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੀ ਆ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਨੂੰ. ਜੋ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਡੇਲੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਆ ਸੋ ਮਚ ਮੋਰ, ਰਾਈਟ. ਮੈਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਕੰਸੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਓਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਟੋਰੀ. ਇਟਸ ਆਲ like backstage, like ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, right, behind the scenes of the core movement. But it's so sad ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੰਦੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਦਾਰੂ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਹ ਨਾਈਟਮੇਅਰਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ. ਕਾਤੇ? ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਰੈਂਡਸ ਦੇ ਸਰਕਲ ਜਾਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ, ਤੂੰ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ, ਫੇਰ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ, ਕੁੜੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੱਥ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੱਥ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਚੱਲ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇ. Like, you know, their mental health isn't taken seriously. But suicidal rates for males are higher. So ਇਹ ਵੀ ਦੇਖੋ, right, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਨਾ silence ਕੀਤਾ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ community, like the men in our community that face all of this, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ suffering ਕੀ ਆ. And the more shame and embarrassment for them is they're just supposed to be a banda. A real banda doesn't talk about emotions. ਸਾਡੀ community ਏਦਾਂ ਹੀ, like, you know, ਦਿਮਾਗਾਂ ਚ ਪਾਇਆ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਆ, ਉਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਵੇ, right? So it's more about talking about it more, opening about it, educating the community and ourselves, like, hey, ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ because ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਲਾਸਟ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੋਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੋਵੇ, ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਫਰਟੇਬਲ ਹੋਵੇ, ਸਾਡੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਆਉਣੇ ਆ, right, ਕੰਫਰਟੇਬਲ ਹੋਵੇ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, 15-20 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਚੋਂ ਨਾ ਦੱਸੀ.
Right. I agree. Gurpreet, what do you think ਕਿ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਹਨਾ, since this has happened to you and so many more people, ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੁਣ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਟਰਸਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ because ਆਪਣਾ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਸਟੇਟ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ? Would you trust your kid ਕਿਸੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਬੇਬੀ ਸਿਟਿੰਗ ਕਰਨ ਜਿਹਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਖ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਇਓ, or if there's a certain person in your house that's done that to you before, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ?
I will say one thing. A lot of people don't agree with me, but this is just my thinking, and maybe this is my personal experience. That's why. Right. Under the age of 18, the parents have full responsibility. Right. Meaning, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਏ ਦੇ ਘਰੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਾਣਾ ਆ, ਮਾਮੇ ਦੇ ਘਰੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਾਣਾ ਆ, ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੋਇਸ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ. ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜਦ ਕਿਡ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਝ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਲਤ ਹੋਇਆ, that is your fault. I will blame the parents for it. And honestly, no, you should not be leaving your child anywhere. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡਪਾ ਨੂੰ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਗਲਤ ਨਾ ਹੱਥ ਲਾਇਆ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ own father, own step mother, you know, ਗਲਤ ਨਾ ਹੱਥ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ. ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਏ ਮਾਸੀ ਮਾਸੜਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਟਰਸਟ ਕਰੋਗੇ? ਕਹਿ ਦੋ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਤੇਰੇ ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾ ਆ, that's fine, but ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇੰਟੈਂਸ਼ਨਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ. vulnerable ਨਿਆਣਾ under the age of 18 ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ. until then it's your responsibility as a parent. And babysitting le paise hainge, like make money, put money to the side, and make sure that you're paying a professional, because the professionals the bitch bhi hunda hai, but at least the cases are lower than your own blood. Because statistics na hun tusi dekhde hain, again I repeat, be sexual abuse within families sab to highest rate hai. So trusting your child with someone else, even if it is your blood, I would not do it.
I agree 100%. And I have never ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੈਣਾ ਨੂੰ
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ sleep over ਤੇ ਛੱਡ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ. You know, kids experiment when they're little kids all the time with each other. So now you're just gonna leave them at someone else's house. Like no, don't do that. And even like India ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ trips ਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, okay, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਾਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, okay, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਉਸੇ room ਚ ਲਟਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ, like you know where the thigh masad or the kids are all sleeping, and then something happens in that room. As if the person is under the age of 18, please be with your child at all times. I know ਕਿ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਤਾਂ parents ਮੈਨੂੰ ਛੱਡਦੇ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਛ, ਮੈਨੂੰ you know, sleepovers ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨ ਦਿੰਦੇ. Don't worry, let your child yell at you forever long they want. When they're older, they will be happy that you did that to protect them.
Yeah, there's a reason. I was talking to somebody else as well. They can sleepovers. This is one of my coworkers. He's a gay guy. They can Ruby, I don't know if I'm gay. Gora ya. They can that ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਈ sleepover ਤੇ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੋਈ ਆ. And that changed me. And he said to me, I have never shared this with anybody. ਕਿ 30 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਲੱਗਿਆ. And he goes, I don't even know why. So ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, ਇੰਡੀਆ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਪਿੰਡ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਕੁੜੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੌਕਡ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. ਰਾਈਟ. ਤੇ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਇਹ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਹੋਇਆ. and it happens more than one person, more than one time. ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਬਜ਼ੋਰਬ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਪੈਣੀਆਂ, ਸਮਝਣੀਆਂ ਪੈਣੀਆਂ, ਸਿੱਖਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਤੇ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਬਣਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਪੈਣੀਆਂ ਆ accordingly. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਟਰਾਮਾ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟਰਾਮਾ ਤੇ ਸੁਸਾਈਡ ਦੀ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ, ਰਾਈਟ. ਅਗਲੇ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਮਿੰਟ 'ਚ ਉਹ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਣੀ, ਨਸ਼ੇ ਪੱਤੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ, ਲੜਾਈ ਹੋਣੀ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤਾਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਏਦਾਂ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ. So it's nice to come back and say ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਖੜ ਜਾਓ ਇੱਕ ਮਿੰਟ, there's other issues ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ. ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕੇਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਹੁਣ, ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਸੀਗੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਫਾਦਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਲ ਰੇਪ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ. her story. ਇੱਕ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਾਂਗੀ. I don't know if you already know him, and he's been working on that case for a while too. ਆਪਣੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੇ ਕੇਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ UK ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. The brother, ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿਸਟਰ ਸਕੀ ਭੈਣ ਨੂੰ sexually assault ਕਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਲ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਹੁਣ she opened up about it to her kids. ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਾਮਾ ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਏਦਾਂ ਕਰਦੀ. and the kids were furious. ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਇੰਨੇ ਸਾਲ ਕੁਛ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਘਰਦਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੁਛ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਘਰਦਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰਾਤਾ because they were a prominent family. ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਾ ਸਟੈਂਪ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣੀ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ. ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ,
even ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੀ ਆ, like I hate, like thing is, it's our religion, it's Sikhi, right? I love Sikhi. I'm connected to it, but it's so sad seeing what's happening in gurdwaras right now, inside where the Guru Granth Sahib is, where you're matha taking, and there's crimes happening right around it. It's such a sad reality right now. The cases that I receive from gurdwaras, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਗ੍ਰੰਥੀ ਨੇ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੱਥ ਲਾਇਆ, ਜਾਂ ਆਹ ਹੋਇਆ, ਗੱਤਕਾਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ. All I'm gonna say is, parents, like, this is for the parents. ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਣਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕੋਈ crime ਨਹੀਂ commit ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ. That's the way of you know, religious role ਪਾ ਕੇ ਦਿਖਾਉਣਾ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ saint ਆ, but actually not. You can't just trust someone just because they're wearing the bana, and that's the sad reality of our community right now. ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, right? Like, okay, like, look, this is a person that is preaching and everything, but an example is the Bhai Sukha Singh case. Look at that prominent figure. Look at all the
Yeah.
speeches that he gave. His speeches, wow, amazing. But look at what the crime he did by sexually assaulting more than 6 men that came only forward to us. Imagine the other ones that he sexually assaulted.
I
So
thought they were
like,
just women for that one. But anybody, there was men on that one too.
no, there was no women in that case.
Oh,
It
that
was
was all men.
all men. Yeah, men were sexually assaulted by him at like when they were 16, 17, 18 years old. And now they're in their 30s, and yeah, they had come forward regarding what had happened with them. But like, just because someone is a high status, ਉਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਗਲਤ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ. It's just like you can't just trust someone. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰੇ ਹੀ ਛੱਡ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਲਓ. You leave your child there. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਓ ਫੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸਿਖਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨੂੰ, good, but be there, sit with them while they're getting taught. Because ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰੇ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋ ਕੋਈ educational background ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ deal ਕਰਨਾ ਆ. They don't have 4-year degree in teaching. No, they don't know like what the like procedures, protocols are, how you're supposed to talk to a child or whatever. They're just teaching Sikhi and the way they want to do things. Okay, and then I try to explain like, you're leaving an underage child with someone just because they have a robe on and that's the reason you trust them in their, like, we get cases where kids have been left at Granthis houses just to learn Kirtan, like from like 7 to 8, and now we get those same people reaching out years later saying, hey, I was sexually assaulted in that room, I was sexually assaulted by this person. And it's like, how are we allowing this to happen? And why aren't we shaming the people instead of making the kids be silent about it? Okay, ho gaya, tenu counseling de pa dene a, like, you know, like, I'm sorry that you went through this. I get all of that, like, you're healing and you're gonna get the counseling you need, but why aren't we shaming the person? Why aren't we publicly
protecting
everyone that this is what he has done? And it's our duty as Sikhs, it's our duty to, you know, do this, to protect the vulnerable and to name and shame and let the world know, like, hey, this person has done this. Yes, the legal system will fail us and we'll try to go through the legal route, but for public safety reasons, this person stay away from. They did this to my child. So let others know instead of just keeping it within the families or like within your own home and not letting anybody know. So they're going to go do it again. Because ek wari kar ditta ya kise nu got away with it, they're going to repeat. They're going to keep repeating. That's what happens, right? And that's why like people tell me like tusi expose kate kar de hain. Defamation case ho jana hai, kar lo defamation case, give me a case. I have several defamation cases against me, but you know what, I have enough stuff in front of me, enough victims coming forward for one person, and it's only defamation if it's not the truth,
right?
So for me, like, I'll go through the process of being like, you know, through the court and everything, as long as the public is least aware, like, aha hoya ya, hun ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਛੱਡਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ. As long as you're aware and my moral like obligation and duty is done, where I have informed you guys, ਇਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਗਲਤ ਆ, because he's not going to be in jail, he's going to be roaming around, okay, and he's going to be going to the next victim. So as many people I can let know, I rather do that. And if that means paying a fine, I'll pay the fine, because you know what, it comes to public safety and it comes to our safety of our community and our children. And like, I'm not stupid enough to like put something out there that's not real. Obviously, we go through the process, we go through the whole thing. If you even look at my platform, there's probably like a handful of like 10 people out of the 4 years that I've actually exposed with names and faces, because we have to go through the whole process of like, hey, is this actually true? Has the police reports been made? You went through the whole court process because of lack of evidence, but from what we see, this is true. There's more victims, there's so much coming forward. And you know what, the community, the sangat, especially when things in the gurdwara are happening and people have high power and authority, and if they have done something wrong, the sangat has the right to know.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
You know, Gurpreet, I was talking to a prosecutor Saturday night in Washington, the King County prosecutor hegi ya. I was on the phone with her.
Yeah.
And I asked her about a certain case. Main kaha, case vich ki banaya. Main kaha, you guys are hired to do a job, right? They ਕਹਿੰਦੀ, well, there's so many cases we get. They ਕਹਿੰਦੀ, Ruby, I'm going to be very honest with you. There are so many sexual predators out there that are not in jail right now. And there's nothing we can do about it because we can only, proceed with ones that we have enough evidence, enough people.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you prove it? So ਜਦੋਂ rape ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, sexual assault ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ victim की video ਫੜੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ, camera ਫੜਿਆ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ when it's happening. What 11-year-old, 13-year-old is gonna think about a camera? They're just gonna be shook at the fact that their mama taya is touching them.
Yep.
Someone you trust, someone you love, someone you hug every day. This is your mom's brother. This is your dad's brother or something, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden something like that is happening with you. You're gonna freeze. You're gonna be in shock. You're not gonna be thinking about grabbing a phone and recording. And you think that the abuser is gonna let you do that?
Right.
So how do you prove it in court? It's like nearly impossible unless you have been raped and within that 3 days you go to the hospital and get a rape kit done. And that's really rare for victims to go do as well, because you just got raped and now you have to go through the experience going to the hospital and doing all of that. And then when they come to when they're mentally okay, I can do this, it's too late.
It's too late.
You have 72 hours to even go do that. And then it's like, now what? Then they'll be like, oh, it was consensual sex. Like, for example, the Granthis at the UK, there was a case, the Derby rape case that happened in the UK that we've been dealing with. And it's been a while we've been dealing with that case. So it came down to, I posted the proof and evidence of all of that whole thing that was going down. And one of their emails, the Granthi said, it was consensual sex in the Gurdwara.
Wow.
So he's admitting, but he's not admitting to the rape, because it was rape. But then he's saying, no, it wasn't rape, but yes, I did have sex in the Gurdwara, in the Maipago room with this victim. And she was consensual.
And how old was the victim?
Pardon me?
How old was the victim?
The victim was, I think, in her late 20s.
Got it.
But she was going through a domestic abuse situation.
Taken advantage.
Yeah, she was taken advantage of. And learning disability and so much. And raped 17 times by two people. And Granthis, someone that she went to for help. So imagine that. This is what's going on in our community right now. And it's I'm not shaming our community. I just want our community to wake up and start taking a stand and not be silent.
Yeah.
Let's start naming the bad apples, so then our community can heal from all this trauma and then move forward and protect our own, right?
I agree.
Cool.
See, I need everybody to understand ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੜੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣੋ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਹ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਸਮਝ ਲਓ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਸਮਝ ਲਓ, ਇਹ ਨਾ ਸੋਚੋ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਦੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ। ਇਹ ਨਾ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਸੈੱਟ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨਿਕਲਾਂਗੇ, ਟੇਕ ਦੈਟ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਸਟੈਪ, ਐਕਸੈਪਟੈਂਸ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਸਟੈਪ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਜੀ। ਰਾਈਟ। ਨੰਬਰ 2, ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ, ਕਿਸੇ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ, ਕਿਸੇ ਫਰੈਂਡ ਨਾਲ, ਕਿਸੇ ਸਕੂਲ, talk to somebody, make sure somebody knows ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ। because ਜਿੰਨੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੁੱਪ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ ਨਾ, ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਵੀ ਹੈ, does anybody else know ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ, is one thing they will ask you. Number 2, ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਸਮਝੋ ਕਿ ਫਲਾਨਾ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾ ਜੋ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਇਹ ਬਚ ਜਾਣ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਖਰਾਬ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ। ਇਹ ਮਾਈਂਡਸੈਟ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਿਕਲ ਜਾਓ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਬੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸਲਟ ਕਰਦਾ, ਮੋਲੈਸਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਨਾ, ਕੱਲਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ that you're trying to protect, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਰੂਗਾ ਤੇ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ। ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕੇਸ ਇਹ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਬਟ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਉਠਾਉਣੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਆ। Do you remember that case in Bakersfield, Gurpreet? ਜਿਹੜੀ the 15-year-old gave birth to her cousin's kid?
Yeah.
ਤੇ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਅਸੀਂ
honor killing? Yeah,
the honor killing. ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਉਹ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਇਆ, right? I hear it was the mother's, I think, ਭੈਣ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਮੁੰਡਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਥੇ illegally ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ, right? ਤੇ ਆਹ ਕੁਛ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਇਆ। ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ, and I say this on my TikToks and everything else, ਕਿ people, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਐਂਟਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ, ਇਹ ਨਾ ਸੋਚੋ ਕਿ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਫਲਾਨਾ ਆ। Be careful of anybody that you let in your house and around your kids.
it's not like ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ relationships ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਰੱਖੋ ਨਾ
right
you know ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ no it's about being alert aware of surroundings ਦੇਖੋ like you know ਸਭ ਕੁਝ like ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ blindly ਨਾ like you know trust ਕਰੋ ਵੀ ਟਰਸਟ ਵੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਇੰਨਾ ਈਜ਼ਲੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਓਕੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਆ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਨਿਆਣਾ 2-3 ਦਿਨ ਲਈ ਛੱਡ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ 1 ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਲਈ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਓਵਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀਗਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਤੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਕਿਡਸ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਹੀ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਆਪ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਚਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਲਾਈਕ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਬੇਸਿੰਗ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੋ ਆ ਲਾਈਕ ਯੂ ਨੋ like it's not right to do you're just leaving your child and you know suffer karo thorjak as in like if you're gonna give birth to your child and bring them into the world then figure out financially that you are able to take care of the child and you don't have to leave them at the gurdwara or leave them at like places without like you know them being protected properly.
Gurpreet, any signs that you know that can you like when you're in a place because when I'm anywhere I could be in a room full of a few hundred people and I could pick out people. Is that just something that you're also able to like feel and see
energy? Yes. The way a person looks, maybe it's the experience of my life or like it's all the cases that I've been doing with all these years. But yes, it is really easy for me to tell like hey aa banda sahi nahinga ja aa buri sahi hegi like you know so easy like I feel like it's just an instinct that gut feeling that you get. Or when you have conversations or maybe it's because like I actually confront abusers like I talk to them personally myself when we're dealing with cases so like the way they react the way they are is just you know it is what it is but like you know it's the sad thing is we're human too and we do get I'm not gonna lie we do get people that come forward that say that they have sexually assaulted someone and now they want to apologize and they
really
to heal and they want the support to like you know why did I do that at that age because you know what sometimes what it is a lot of cases actually where they have been sexually assaulted as a child so then they grow up and then they do the same thing to someone else.
I've read about that.
Yes. So it's cases I get cases so we actually get like let's just say in a month probably 2-3 people reaching out from somewhere saying hey like I'm sorry to say this but this is what I've done and I want to heal I want to learn from it I want to not do this again not repeat and we're there to help them as well because you know what that's one less victim.
That's big though that's very big and somebody to come out and say कि मेरे तो आ गलती हुई है. What about the people जिन्हां ने गलतियां कीतियां बच्चियां नाल molestation कीती आ गलत टच कीता ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਆਹ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਲੈ ਜਾਓ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਲੈ ਜਾਓ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੌਹਾਂ ਖਵਾ ਲਓ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਖਾਣੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਝੂਠ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਇਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ are you seeing that as well because I'm seeing that
so much ਉੱਥੇ ਖੜ ਕੇ victim ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਉਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ but you know society ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ family ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਮੰਨਣੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਾਤੇ ਮੰਨੋ because then you know that's ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ like you know that's hey now I'm a rapist or now I'm going to be known as a pedophile or now I'm going to be known as this so to save themselves they will put the victim down. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਾਉਂਦੀ ਆ
ਬਸ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਬਾਲ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਵਿਕਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੇਰੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਸੀ ਜੇ ਇਸ ਨੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ
ਆਪਣੇ own cousin ਨਾਲ ਤੂੰ ਕਾਤੇ ਹੱਸ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਇੰਨਾ how shocking is that
oh my goodness ਦੰਦੀਆਂ ਕੱਢਦੀ ਸੀ ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਕੋਲੇ
ਬੈਂਦੀ ਸੀ like that's honestly like that's shocking to hear but this is what parents say to their children ਕਿਆ ਹੋਣਾ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਰੱਖ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਰ family ਨਾਲ friends ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸੀ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੀ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਆ it's like what how about the other person that did wrong like call them out ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ ਕਰੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ victim ਨੂੰ ਕਾਤੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਸਿੱਟੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ
Gurpreet, it's crazy to me. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਆ my mom came over right I believe in energies right ਤੇ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ I let in and whatnot and my mom brought 2 of her friends over ਹਨਾ it's right before Christmas and I was telling them about the podcast and I told them ਮੈਂ ਕਿ I'm going to be bringing one person ਕਿ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਬੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਆ And my mom lifted her eyebrow, and I looked right back at her. And I said, Mom, do you have any questions? Right? Okay, I don't care who it is. It could be your own family. But I stand again, with you, and I stand against these people. I am, 1000% with you on everything you are doing. I am here in support. ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਅੱਗੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੇ ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਾ ਹੋਏ, ਪਰ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਹੋਏ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਆਹ ਬੈਡ ਟੱਚਸ ਆ।
ਸਾਡੇ ਸਟੈਂਡ ਵੀ ਲੋ। ਇਟਸ ਅ ਥਿੰਗ ਇਜ਼ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ I'm here for you, I support the movement. Yes, 100% you guys do, but what I'm doing is when a victim is coming forward to me and talking about what has happened to them, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ listening ear ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. They need someone to defend them. They want someone to protect them, because at that time they were not protected. ਕੋਈ ਜਣਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ stand ਲਵੇ। So mataba, if they want to go share it with their family, help them. Don't let them do it alone. If you want to confront their abuser, go with them. Talk with them. Support them, as in ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ, ਤੂੰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕੁਝ ਜਾ ਕੇ, ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹਾਂ। as don't leave the person hanging. Okay, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ story share ਕਰ ਲਿਆ, ਹੁਣ that's it. Okay, our counseling services, yeah, that's it. Maybe the healing requires more. And that's how I felt, at least, and my experience, where I was I wish someone was there where they just went with me and slapped him in the face. Why didn't that happen for me? Why didn't anybody protect me in that sense? Why now I'm doing it for other people? It's ironic how everything works out, but I feel when I get involved, maybe the passion is too much in this right now, but when I get involved, I take whatever someone is reaching out and saying to me really personally. Hey, you reached out me, you need me, and I'm going to be there for you. That means I want other people in the community to start doing that with strangers as well, because you know what, the victims don't go to family and loved ones. They feel like they have been let down, so they don't go to them. They go to someone else for a helping hand. And if someone is coming to you asking for support, show it as you will take care of it. You will take care of the situation, whichever way they want it to be dealt with, meaning counseling. Okay, I'm going to get you the support services you need. You want to confront your family and you want me to be there with you, I'll go there with you. Be that mediator for that person.
What do you think of
how to defend other people in our community that are vulnerable? Is trying to say is hey, it's just not about our people. It's not just about I'm only going to take care of my brother, my sister, or whatever. No, we're going to take care of everyone in our community. And I feel we've kind of distanced ourselves, and we've all started focusing on ourselves too much. Right? This is so I say it all the time too. I don't make profit money off this. This is my passion. I have a job on the side that I work full time, right? And avi seva ya. Mentally upset, listening to them, giving them a ear. I've different podcast as well. ਜਦੋਂ ਸੱਟ ਵੱਜਦੀ ਆ, ਜਦੋਂ elbow ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਹਦੇ ਵੀ ਇੰਜਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਆ, bone break ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, right? And ਸਾਰੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਮਿਲਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਚਾਹ ਪੀਣ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੱਟ ਵੱਜੀ, ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੋਇਆ, everything's okay, ਫਿਰ ਫੇਰ ਪਿਕਅਪ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਫੋਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਐਂਗਜ਼ਾਇਟੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਕੋਈ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, ਉਦੋਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਸ਼ੌਂਕ ਆ। Then nobody's calling the person and asking to ਠੀਕ ਆ, going to the house. No, the brain is the biggest organ in our body, but we're not taking care of that. But ਜਿਹੜੀ broken bone ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਘਰੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਚਾਹ ਪੀ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ formalities ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਕਰ, right? But when it comes to the brain, mental health is so important. So if someone is saying that they're upset about something, they're isolating themselves. That's family functions on hat gaya. Connect with them, talk to them again. Galla corona nar bhi kuch sab kuch theek hai ghar sab kuch theek hai. Just asking people how they're doing is such a big thing, because sometimes someone's gonna open up and share with you things just because they are so bottled up inside.
Right. And they will. And you'll be amazed. I'll just start a conversation. And again, मैं भी ये गल्ला करती हूँ ना कि साडा अपनी कम्युनिटी च एह् awareness लियाउण दी जरूरत आ. And you wouldn't believe, Gurpreet, जेह्ड़ी भी मैं leading up pretty much गल्ल कीती, कुड़ी नाल गल्ल कीती, they say, well, you know what, Ruby? And they open up. I've had this that people open up to me and I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, what can we do now? ਅੱਗੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ change ਕਰੀਏ? ਅੱਗੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸਿਖਾਈਏ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਬੁੜੀ ਹੋਏ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਈਨਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਘੁਲਣਾ ਮਿਲਣਾ. ਸਾਰੇ ਅਡਲਟਸ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਾਹਲਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪਿਆਰ, ਜੋ ਉਹ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ you can trust me. ਨੰਬਰ 2 ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਲੋਕ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੁਛ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. They're clueless. ਬੱਚੇ
bad touch, good touch.
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ. They trust them. ਤੇ ਤੀਜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੂਗਾ because they're so confused, ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਘਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਆ, ਕੋਈ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਡਿਵੋਰਸ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਜੀ ਦੀ let's say ਫਾਦਰ ਦੀ ਡੈਥ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ they work and they keep doing what they're going to do. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੜਾ ਕੁਛ ਹੁੰਦਾ because there's people I talk to, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਜੇਲਾਂ ਚ ਜਾਣੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ what pulls you, what attracts you to these kids? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ that know nothing about sex, that is it. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਖਿੱਚ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ. ਸੋ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸ਼ਰਮ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਾ ਮੰਨੀਏ. ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹੋਰ ਕੰਟਰੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਇਹ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ, ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ, ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਸਿਖਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਤੇ ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ ਇਹ ਘਟ ਸਕਦਾ, ਇਹ ਹਟ ਵੀ ਸਕਦਾ. but I don't ever think it really will, but at least ਜੇ ਮੂਹਰੇ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ, ਕਿਸੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਅਗਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੋਚੂਗਾ 100 ਵਾਰੀ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਰੌਲਾ ਪੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿ I better not.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right? Now, Gurpreet, is there any question that, now you've gone on other podcasts, you can tell us ਕਿਹੜੇ podcast ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? And which podcast you've gone to, and is there any question ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਆ ਵੀ question ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੀਗੀ?
No, actually, like I feel like we've kind of covered everything. Other like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's hard. I know these conversations are hard to have. I know, but they're just so necessary. Like, right. Our community just needs to wake up to the fact that this is life. We're humans. Sex and everything, this is all stuff that isn't something to be embarrassed or shamed about.
Right.
And we need to have these conversations and empower our kids and tell them, like, yo, if someone is doing that, slap them in the face. If someone is doing that to you, don't freeze. Or if you do freeze, it's okay. Come to us and tell us. We will protect you. We will take care of the situation. We will do something about it. And it's just education, honestly. We sometimes, our older generation, I know it's harder to teach them, but if you repeat it over and over again, they will get the message. They will understand. And if your child is saying, hey, I don't want to hug that uncle or auntie, them just because you're at a family function and you, like, you know, formality karniya inniya vi nahi zaruri. If the child is uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable for a reason. Have a conversation with them. Signs bhi dekhya karo thode je bhi nyana, like, you know, chop chop kate hai nowadays, or what's going on. Like, you know, be aware. Be kuch hai ta nahi ga, kuch hota nahi raha hai. And honestly, like, nahi hunda, it's fine, nothing's happening. That's really, really good. But always check up. Let's just say 6 months after, you just sit down with your child and ask, how's everything going? Is everything good? Or have you been, like, you know, how's everything in school? How's everything with your friends? Just reconnecting. Stop focusing. Our community is so focused on work, making money.
That's all money.
Have conversations with their children. So please have those conversations.
Time.
Yeah,
they forget.
I don't want to wait 20 years later to realize, like, hey, mere niyane na idda hoya ska. The parents don't want to hear it either. It's upsetting for them too. It's upsetting for the child to go through that experience. So conversations are so necessary. Yeah, they're uncomfortable, but you know what? You have to have them. You rather have those uncomfortable conversations than have your child sit you down 20 years later and be like, hey, by the way, you know, when you left me there, that Taya sexually assaulted me. So that's not what we want to hear. So it's just about conversation and being really, like, you know, straight up and real with your children. And yeah, from a young age, just tell them bad touch, good touch. Tell them everything. They learn it in school, yes, but learning it from their parents is 20 times like more effective than the school as well. So whatever your parents are teaching, like the parents are teaching the child, that they're gonna hear that more, and then they're gonna feel more comfortable if they have ever been in a situation to come forward and talk to you about it, instead of making you feel like, just don't make it so clear to the child that, hey, you're not gonna stress me out, you're not gonna put me in a bad situation if you share something like this with me. You're allowed to and able to come forward and talk about it. And that's like but one thing that I always like to repeat, like, just talk to your children, because it's so necessary, especially under the age of 18. These conversations need to happen, and there's a less chance of something going wrong then.
I agree. Now, एक कोई भी हो सकता है, इस स्कूल च हो सकता है, right? एक किते भी हो सकता है. एक story थी साडी सीगी in Seattle. ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ second language ESL classes ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ teacher ਸੀਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ. ਇੱਕ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੇ story ਦੇਖੀ in 7th grade. When I was 5, this used to happen to me. So he's in jail now. ਪਰ ਇਹ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ. ਪਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਦਈਏ ਨਾ. I understand ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੈਗਾ, ਬਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ, ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਫੀਲਿੰਗਸ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਫਿਰ ਇੰਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੈ ਜੀ? That's what I want to share. 100%. Right, the change starts with us. Gurpreet, she's on Instagram. We have her own website, the Kaur Movement, Singh Movement, and you guys can always get in touch with her. I'm also here to help if anybody needs any kind of help. Sada jo goal siga tod na gal karni, awareness spread karni, and that's what we're doing, and we're definitely going to, you know, touch back again, and you know, we'll be chatting after this as well, Gurpreet. But I want to thank you so much for spending the time coming out here and doing everything jo tusi kar rahe ho, ek voice ban rahe ho. It's huge.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ruby, for having me. This was a great conversation.
It was. Thank you so much. We'll speak again, everybody.
Okay, take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.